I'm Jessie and welcome back to This Old Thing. Today we are reading The Girl in the Centerfold, Chapter 10. And for those of you guys who have been listening along, I'm so sorry that it's taken so long to get back to finishing this book. I've had so much going on, but I really want to get this finished so that we can all find out what happens. So if you guys are new to this book, you definitely want to go to the playlist and start with Chapter 1, or, well, the intro in Chapter 1. This is a book by Playboy Playmate of the Month, 1967, January, Miss Surrey Marshe. And she wrote this in 1969. So she was still very young when she wrote this. And it's a rare early Playboy memoir. And it's super fascinating. So thank you so much for joining. I hope that the sound is okay with my headphones because I have my ACs going and I can't really block it out. So I was hoping that the headphones help. So we'll see. So we just finished off with Chapter 9. We're talking about Biff, her new dude that she met. Okay? Chapter 10. Dear Miss Marshe, shortly after I moved in with Biff, Alexis Urba came to New York to complete the Playmate layout. Hopefully that sounds okay. He had the skin. It was now necessary to get the threads. So he spent a couple of days photographing me in what was supposedly my natural habitat. I was snapped walking on the street, or as Playboy stated in its usual gushy style, promenading through Park Avenue's elegant precincts. Supposedly opening a letter from home, good old Aalborg, Denmark, and supposedly answering the letter, which was difficult since I was doing it left-handed. Get my light fixed, guys. That's blinding me. There we go. I was photographed riding on the back of a friend's motorcycle. Then there were 3 views of me in the bunny costume at the Playboy Club, greeting customers, shoulders forward, boobies sagging, supposedly giving a bunny some on-the-job training, and in the locker room, adjusting my stocking, supposedly. The final picture bore this caption: Surrey and a trio of fellow folk music fanciers get together at a Greenwich Village pad for a harmonious evening. The real truth is that the fellow folk music fanciers were a bunny and a couple of guys recruited for the photo. The guitar I allegedly strummed and the pad belonged to Shel Silverstein. Mercifully, he was not present. Why not? What's wrong with it? But I guess he uses it when he is not in the red room. I really do play the guitar. Sort of. I can play 3 chords, G, A, and C. That gives me a large repertoire. Playboy published 8 of the dozens of black and white photographs Alexis Urba took in New York, together with the full-color, backlighted photo he had taken in Chicago. Thus, I was shown bundled to my ears in my suede coat, wearing a simple white dress, and in a baggy sweater and old shirt, as well as the bunny costume. All of this attire is important to the Playmate fantasy, for it enables the viewer to mentally undress me. Coat, white dress, half-dressed in the bunny costume, finally, as the parlance goes, bare ass stepping into the shower. Considering the popularity of Playboy, I guess men spend a lot of time wondering what a girl looks like with her clothes off. Shortly after Alex left, I received a phone call from Chicago. A serious young man wanted some information to use in the text. I asked him not to say I was from Norway. He was very nice, inventing the whole Aalborg, Denmark fabrication, along with a few other things. As October passed into November and then into December, marking my first anniversary in America, I realized I was rather happy. I was thoroughly domesticated. I worked at the Playboy Club during the day. My alarm. I worked at the Playboy Club during the day, kept house the rest of the time, and loved Biff all the time. Oh, there had been changes. Biff's passionate baritone had given way to a dyspeptic tenor. The wine had been replaced by beer. The red bikini bottoms were transformed into faded jeans and a used sweatshirt. But he still read poetry occasionally. There wasn't much housework, but I loved doing it. I can understand that ironing shirts, washing dishes, and scrubbing floors can get old. But when you do it for the man you love, it is, I won't say it's fun, but it is an act of love, isn't it? By the common yardstick, I know that I was living in sin. But I didn't feel sinful. I felt married. Looking back on it, I know that my happiness was due in large measure to the fact I was living with one man and being faithful to one man. I was Biff's special girl. Every other guy was just a guy, and that included room directors, assistant room directors, phenomenal key holders, and Playboy executives with a capital E. In a word, Biff was safety. In the second week of December, I was flown to Chicago. I was there only a couple of days, staying in the Blue Room, for all Playboy wanted was to look me over. In the second week of December, I was flown to Chicago. I was there only a couple of days, staying in the Blue Room, for all Playboy wanted was to look me over to determine if I would be acceptable for Playboy promotions. The standards for acceptance didn't seem to be high. 6 executives interviewed me. Each had a red sheet on which he graded me on a scale from 1 to 6 on such things as my posture, both sitting and standing, attractiveness, poise, voice, etc. It all seemed very easy. The last to interview me was Anson Mount, the public affairs manager. I went through my little paces. Then he said, "Everybody has given you 6s. That won't look good. I'll give you a 5 because you have an accent." I was rather proud of my English. If my accent was a 5, then Jaja would be a 00. Shots fired. Jaja Gabor. It was after my interview with Anson Mount that Quaker Mary came in and did her thing with the Kleenex. "Come on, baby, don't be modest. Let's see ya. See the size of her waist compared to her hips." As I've already described, I sat in Anson Mount's office in a state of shock, feeling dirty all over and wondering what in hell I had gotten myself into. Perhaps this episode dampened my mood, but I didn't have a very good time at Hefner's Christmas. Let me get some tea. This is the longest straw ever for this. Okay. Perhaps this episode dampened my mood, but I didn't have a very good time at Hefner's Christmas party that night. Somehow it wasn't a Gatsby-esque we-for-all in the grand manner and the grand manner, in which you'll find yourself swept up in the heady atmosphere that prevails at... She's quoting the, I think it's the Life magazine article. Somehow it wasn't a Gatsby-esque we-for-all in the grand manner and the grand manner, in which you'll find yourself swept up in the heady atmosphere that prevails at these sumptuously swinging galas and greeted by a phantasmagoria of sight and sound. End quote. I'm not trying to put Hefner down. Actually, I felt sorry for him. His was one of those sad parties where the host had done everything to make the party a success, but it never got off the ground. There was food and drink, and lots of it. The right music, a big crowd of people, all of them coiffed and manicured and sequined. But the party died. Everybody was very stiff, as if they were watching themselves being watched by other people. Oh, there was laughter and decibels of chatter and gallons of spilled drinks, but it was all dreadfully forced. The high point of the evening was the appearance of Hefner. He came late. The party had been going an hour or so. There had been a significant number of expressions of, "Where's Hef?" and "When is he coming?" Then a hush fell over the crowd. I had a feeling that somewhere herald trumpets were going to sound. Then Hefner made his entrance with a capital E. The party was in the main hall, and Hefner entered. Well, it is difficult to explain to someone who has never been in the house, but to make the entrance so he would be seen by everyone as he walked down a couple of steps into the party, he and Mary Warren had to sneak through the blue room and through the adjoining door into the red room and out that. If he had come in the natural way from his apartment, he wouldn't have been visible by everyone at once. He wore a dark suit, it may have been a tux, but my memory fails, and had a pipe. He looked very handsome. Mary Warren, hanging on his arm, was stunning in a floor-length red velvet dress. The situation clearly called for applause, but it turned out oral. "Hi, Hef. Here he is. You finally made it, Hef." And such as that. Hefner smiled, dislodged his pipe, and with his relaxed manner, navigated the 2 steps to mingle with his subjects. He stayed about an hour, then disappeared to write another installment of the Playboy philosophy, I guess. The wee-for-all limped along a little while longer, then broke up. Not too long after I returned to New York, a patron entered the Playboy Club bearing tidings of great joy for the Christmas season. "I saw your picture, Surrey. You got a great fanny." I had never seen any of the photographs taken by Alexis Urba, or those by Pompeo Posar for that matter. I knew all about posing, hours of posing, days of posing, but I had no idea what the result of it all was to be. I had considerable curiosity, and I looked forward to publication day with both anticipation and dread. I guess I figured Playboy would send me a free copy of the magazine, so I'd be the first to know about the most intimate thing a girl can do. "Miss Marsh, enclosed is the centerfold we have prepared of you. We want you to know that we consider this beautiful. The American Photography Association has selected it as one of the 12 most beautiful nude studies done this year." That's her dream. The first to know were the subscribers, to receive their issues a couple of days before the magazine goes on sale in newsstands. It was one of those who told me I had a great fanny. Oh, I hate to interrupt the flow of reading, but that's so much like Bridget's experience. She didn't even know that she was in the magazine until someone told her, and it wasn't even how she wanted. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. History repeats itself. When I finally obtained a copy of the magazine and eagerly, or was it fearfully, flipped to the centerfold, I was pleased, I guess. That seemed to be a pretty girl there. She had a great fanny, and a boobie that stuck out, and pouty lips and big, big eyes. The pink soap was beautiful. The biggest surprise to me was how big she was. The girl standing at the shower curtain seemed bigger than life size. I guess I never realized how big a 3-page fold-out is. My use of the third person is deliberate, for the girl was truly a she. I recognized myself in the candid black and white shots. That looked like me, weak chin, fat cheeks, and all. But that girl standing there in the wherewithal, gripping a striped shower curtain, pink soap in the background, just wasn't me. I just didn't know that girl. I have no idea if other playmates have this reaction, but it sure was mine. Other people seemed to think it was me. Most were very nice. They'd say, "A beautiful picture, Surrey." I'd say, "Thank you." At the same time, I was surprised at how many fanny admirers there are. Absolutely nobody said, "You got a great boobie there, Surrey." Course, I don't have, but even if I did, I doubt if anyone would say it to my face. That would be insulting. But it is not insulting to compliment me on my fanny. I guess the fanny has more public acceptance than the boobie. On the other hand, fanny cleavage has never caught on too much. It doesn't make sense, does it? But people would comment on my posterior without embarrassment, but not on my other private parts. I'm sure Mr. Hefner could explain that if anyone asked him. The only opinion that mattered to me was Biff's. I guess I hoped he'd take one look at it Slam the magazine shut, burn it, not speak to me for 3 days, then thereafter sock anybody who ever made a reference to it. Hey, baby, that's great. Wow, you got a great fanny. Didn't I always tell you you had a great fanny? That's what Biff said. Dear, sweet Biff said that. For the next 2 days, he ran around and showed it to his friends. This is my girl. Doesn't she have a great fanny? I always said she had the greatest fanny I ever saw. If any time after that, he ran into someone who had not seen the January issue, like a fellow just back from an extended tour of the Gobi Desert, he'd correct that deficiency. You haven't seen Surrey? Look, ain't that a real fanny? Biff was a card. That Biff was. A nude picture of me in Playboy really did a lot for Biff. It gave him confidence. I guess it was about the greatest thing that ever happened to him. In addition to $2,500 and the admiration of friends and loved ones, being a Playmate also means you get mail. Lots of mail. Over the next several months, I received hundreds of passionate, adoring letters. It seemed to me the letters say something about the urbane, sophisticated people who read Playboy. Here are a few which amused me. Dear Surrey, you are very beautiful, and I adore your light golden hair. You are just the kind of girl I adore, and we would get along great together. You have a great personality. I also love to go to strange places and meet strange people, and I also love singing and music. Since you and I are both skiing enthusiasts, we would have a happy ball on the slopes here in California, Squaw and Heavenly Valley. We would also have a great time in San Francisco, which is only a few miles from where I live, at the beach or downtown in Chinatown, the discotheques, and just all of San Francisco. If you ever fulfill your dream by coming to California, stop by and let us get together, and could you send me your picture? Love, so-and-so. It doesn't say the name. The next one. Dear Miss Marsh, I have a problem. Since I am one of your most loyal fans, I have noticed that you have appeared in past Playboy issues au naturel, showing your right profile only. I have written to Playboy's Playboy advisor inquiring to whether this was just your good side. They didn't give me the answer I wanted, except that I might write to you. So I'm writing to you to see if you might have any additional photos showing your left profile. I would appreciate it very much to hear from you. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, so-and-so. The next one. Theta Delta Chi? How do you pronounce that? It's like a fraternity. Theta Delta Chi cordially invites you to Total at the annual BHCF Memorial Mixer and Downhill Slalom on Saturday, February 17th, 1968. RSVP 11 West Wheelock Street, Hanover, New Hampshire. Optional dress. Next one. Dearest Surrey, in my last letter I told you that I had fallen in love with you, and this is true. You will laugh at this and believe me to speak falsely. Maybe it is not love, as is normally thought of as love, but within me there exists overwhelming emotions which are not entirely among my powers of speech to express, other than love or possibly worship. Yes, dear Surrey, I love and worship you as a, quote, goddess of beauty and love. These are all her simps. If there is ever a woman exists that surpasses you in beauty, I hope never to see her. For I would die to know that we two would be forever destined to be apart as are the earth and sun, never to meet, one never to know the other. Yours is the everlasting beauty of poetry, which has inspired poets of the ages in their greatest moments with the great poems of love and beauty. If only I were a poet for a short time, it would be within my power to write a poem inspired by you, and that would be among the greatest of them all. True, we are far separated as the sun and stars, and never will it be possible for us to meet. This I realize and will never try to violate your privacy. But I would possibly hope for us to become friends, with letters only as our means of communication. I dare not hope for more than this, nor will I try. If only you could know the feeling in my heart, you would not deny my requests. All my love. Next one. And you can see kind of like how it looks on the page. It's in letter form. Dear Surrey, you're really a beautiful girl, but I really don't like... These are so funny, and I believe that these are all real. Okay. Dear Surrey, you're really a beautiful girl, but I really don't like your centerfold. The picture of you I like the best is the color one at the beginning of your feature in the raincoat. It's hanging in my room. It's great. My opinion is that you will be one of the 3 finalists for Playmate of the Year. It's really hard to narrow it down from 12 girls, except Miss March, Fran Gerard, is out. There's such a thing as too much. Love, so-and-so. Wow, calling out Miss March. Dear Miss Marsh, the reason for sending this letter to you is to tell you that we are starting a fan club on your behalf. The members of this club, the Surrey Marshe Fan Club, are male students of blank high school. Of course, this is only the beginning. I am 16 and not the best letter writer in the world, so I hope this letter hasn't sounded phony to you. Sincerely yours, President of the newly formed Surrey Marshe Fan Club. P.S. The reason why this letter is late is because our ex-VP got the wrong address and the letter was sent back. Ex-VP. They lost their job after that. Dear Surrey, I only own 2 things, the picture of you in the suede coat and 2 artificial yellow roses. When I get high, I just sit and stare at them both. I also own a tin can, but that doesn't turn me on as much as the other 2. Love and kisses, blank. Dear Surrey, maybe I'll park my little car in front of the club until you pass. It's red, okay? Don't you believe in love at first sight? Love, blank. Dear Surrey, I really don't know what to say, except that I'm a student at the University of Alabama, and that I wanted to see if a beautiful, big-time star like you would write to one of your admirers. I saw your articles in the January 1967 and January 1968 issues of Playboy. I really loved the clothes you were wearing, and even more when you weren't wearing clothes. Oh yes, I'm using another girl's post office box at the university, so you have to address your letter to her. Love ya, blank. Ooh, is that from a girl? Dear Surrey, I've had your picture a long time, just like other guys who adore you, but I'm not a sex-crazy boy. I saw your picture and liked your hair and eyes. Love, blank. Dear Miss Marsh, in seeing your recent Playboy photograph, I should like to make a few comments on that calendar. First, I should like to say that you are by far the most ravishing and stunning woman I have ever seen in my life. Also, you are very sensual and bring out the most lustful desires in one. Thank you very much for reading this letter. Sincerely, blank. Dear Surrey, how are you? Is life easy for you? I'm an African boy of 19 years. My home is in Uganda. I was highly impressed by the photographs. Is that how you say it? Uganda or something? Sorry if I got it wrong. I was highly impressed by the photographs issued in our lovely magazine, Playboy. Of all these, yours impressed me most. I gained much from these photographs, for I was able to observe closely anatomy of a grown-up person which I had never heard before. I beg to remain blank. Dear Surrey, I have your picture hanging in my bunker. In fact, it's right beside me now, hanging on the wall of sandbags. I must look at it at least 50 times every day and say to myself, she's so beautiful, if only she were mine. But I imagine I have about as much chance with you as Marilyn Monroe has with Clark Gable. And of course, they're both deceased. But a guy can always dream, can't he? Sincerely, blank. Dear Miss Marsh, I'll start my letter off with an introduction. My name is blank, and I'm a student at blank Military Institute. I have a very simple request to ask of you. My squad, consisting of about 8 guys, had a squad meeting tonight. A senior cadet in my squad told us to write to 2 Playboy bunnies and ask them if they would send an autographed picture of themselves to us and to the senior cadet. So this is my request. The senior cadet's name is blank. If you do this and I receive my reply from you before anyone else does, I get to set at rest at the meal table for 2 days. This simply means that I can eat what I want, not have to sight at a brace, and not have to serve senior cadets first. If you could do this little favor for me, I really would appreciate it and will be pledged Playboy reader as long as I can see. Sincerely, blank. Dear Surrey, I'm a doctor serving with the Marines in Vietnam. When I become too exhausted to work efficiently, life here becomes an awful routine of boredom. We usually end our evening playing bridge in our tent, and strangely enough, that has led me to this letter. You see, your picture stands out among the others that cover the drab tent walls. Your beautiful figure is the discussion most every night, but my hard-headed Marine tent mates end the admiration with the idea you are not real, or could never be a warm girl that one of us could date. I disagree with them to the point of writing you this letter in hopes of proving to the disbelievers that you do exist and are a warm and possibly lovable person. If you want to share your thoughts with me, I welcome each and every one. Bonsoir, ma chérie. Blank. Signed it in French. Dear Miss Marsh, although I'm not a very faithful Playboy reader, I feel that I must express my respect for the perfection shown in last January's Centerfold. You sure are lovely. Perhaps it's a striking resemblance to a German girl that I recently had the good fortune to date, love, and lose. Your eyes express the same honesty and love of life, and love. Please don't think I'm crazy, 'cause I'm not. I just love different things, and people, and beer, and beach, and sunshine. Almost forgot I love my little red Volkswagen car. Love, blank. Okay, random. Let's get another little tea break here. Okay. Next letter. Dear Surrey, I would like to thank you very much for the pin-up picture, but I was looking more forward to receiving a letter from you. There are many more reasons I wrote you other than you are a very beautiful woman with lips that look so passionate that you must drive every man you meet with desire and every woman with jealousy. You see, my grandmother came from Denmark right after World War I, and since I've lived with her, she has always wanted me to date Danish girls. So I'm kind of partial to every Danish girl I see or meet. Sincerely, blank. Dear Miss Marsh, I'm writing this as a midshipman 4th class at the United States Naval Academy. You, being my favorite bunny of all time, could really help me by doing a small favor. In order for we 4th classmen to have served coffee at meals in our mess hall, we have to get 1, permission, and 2, a picture from a movie star. But I'd much rather have both of these from you. It would make my plebe year quite a bit easier to have a signed picture of you in my room along with the coffee I'm sure to get. Thank you. Sincerely, blank. And that's the end of that chapter. And I'm excited because the next chapter is chapter 11, which is one of my favorite numbers, and it's called the Playboy Promotions. And I find Playboy Promotions super fascinating and all the different years of it fascinating. So this will be really cool because we're going to get into the early days of Playboy Promotions. So that's exciting. Thank you guys so much for listening. And I hope that this sound is okay. I'm going to stop this live in a moment and check it, make sure it's good for you guys. But, oh, one other thing, in case you don't know, I have a little vintage store. I just opened it. This is my 5th month. It's called Black Lagoon. And people bring things into my store for consignment, and my store is in an indie mall. So a lot of other vendors that are there bring things that they know that will be good for my store. So these incredible vintage Playboy shoes showed up at my store, and this is a live, so I can't like insert a picture into it, but I'll put a link down below to them. And I believe they're size 7. They are so cool, and I just like to imagine that a Playboy actually, or a Playmate actually owned them. If they were my size, I'd definitely be keeping them, but I am not a size 7. I'm like a 9.5. So you guys go check it out if you want to get a really cool piece of vintage Playboy merch, and you can shop at my store. And I also just made I don't know how long this will last because I'm testing it out, but I just made all the shipping on my website free. So any item that you get, it's free shipping. So that's kind of fun because look out, Bezos, I'm coming for you with my free shipping. So thank you guys so much for your patience, those of you who have been waiting months for this next chapter. And I promise you it's not going to be so long. In between, I've just had a lot of projects I've been working on, like my store, which, as you can tell, I haven't done one of these in 4 months, and I started my store 5 months ago. So you can see that how much work that's been. And I also have a bulging disc, so it's really hard for me to like sit down and hold still for a while. So forgive me for kind of moving around, but hopefully that works out for you guys because that works for me for my back and just like keeping things fresh. So yeah, just adapting and doing what works. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and check out all my links down in the info box below, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!